It takes money to make money.
You're a voice actor. You're an entrepreneur. You're a VOpreneur. Welcome to the Everyday VOpreneur podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceZam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicezam and receive 3 months of VoiceZam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicezam.
The VOpreneur podcast. Hey, it doesn't suck.
Not as funny as Conan. Not as cute as Seth Meyers. Not as smart as Colbert. But he's one of us, and that counts for something. Here's Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOpreneur.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Everyday VOpreneur podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover. I'm Mark Scott, and I'm looking forward to spending a little bit of time with you today talking about making investments in your business. Now, I know this is going to be an uncomfortable subject for some people. I've ruffled feathers discussing this topic in the past, but I think that it's actually really important. We're going to come at it from a slightly different angle today, though. We're not just going to be talking about some of the traditional things that you would think about spending money on when it comes to your voiceover business. In fact, we're going beyond that. I posted a question in the Facebook group a few weeks ago, and I asked about investments that people have made in their business outside of the big three: demos, coaching, and a microphone. That's what we are going to talk about today. So in the past, I have definitely ruffled some feathers by stating that if you're serious about a career in voiceover, you'd better be serious about making an investment of $10,000 to $15,000 to get started. And there are a lot of people that get really upset when I throw that number out there. And here's one of the things that I want you to take into consideration as I'm throwing this number out there. I have nothing to gain from that number. I don't sell performance coaching, I don't sell demos, and I don't sell voiceover studio equipment. So by throwing that number out there from some coaches, they'd be like, oh, he's just trying to get me to buy more stuff. The fact of the matter is I got nothing to sell you that is going to help you start your voiceover business in that regard. I'm just speaking from experience. I know that it costs a lot of money to get going. Starting a business, any kind of business, is going to require capital. That's the bottom line. With a voiceover business, you've got to think about things like coaching, demos, your studio equipment. You got to have a domain and website hosting. You're going to have somebody design business cards. There's the cost of a CRM. There's the cost of editing software, computer costs, internet costs, banking fees, accounting costs, office supplies. The list goes on and on and on. Heck, I bet you I've probably spent about $1,000 just on books in the last 5 or 6 years. All of the reading that I do that teaches me how to be better at business, which ultimately makes me more successful in voiceover. Thinking like a VOpreneur means recognizing that you are going to have to make investments. But beyond that, it's about making investments that are going to provide the greatest return. This is where a lot of voice actors struggle because we're performance people, we're creative people. We don't always think like business people. But the voice actor of 2019 and beyond has to think a little bit differently because the game has changed. The way that the industry has moved and evolved means that now we do have to recognize that we are business owners and we are going to be responsible for growing that business. And that means investing your money wisely. How can you invest $1 and turn it into 10? How can you invest $1 and turn it into 100? How can you invest $1 and turn it into 1,000? This week, we're going to be talking about some of the best investments that VOpreneurs have made that were not in that big three: demos, coaching, and equipment. Certainly, those are going to be among the largest expenses that you are going to have when you're getting started. But there are other places that you need to think about when it comes to investing your money so that you can grow your business. And the good thing is, not all of these are expensive. In fact, the first one that we're going to talk about really isn't going to cost you a dime. At least not that you got to put any on the table. This particular investment is going to cost you time, but I think that it is time well spent and time that is going to create a really solid return. So for the first story in this week's episode, we're going to turn to David Kwikwi because he's got great advice that every single one of us needs to listen to.
I think when it comes to voice acting, the power of networking, and I know it's a phrase that probably gets passed around a lot as some sort of golden phrase or buzz phrase, but I really do think it's invaluable to building your career and your business. Finding something like an online meetup group or an in-person meetup group is invaluable in building your network and to really not only, I guess, building contacts, but also just having friends there that can encourage you and motivate you to really help you along the way. When I first started out in voice acting, I joined a group and it was great. We would sit down and have a list of 5 things to talk about. We would talk about technological improvements like studios. We would talk about coaching, demos, any jobs that we've been doing, and what kind of networking we've been doing in the past month. And it was a great checklist to have because every time you go to this meetup group, you can keep each other accountable. We can say, how is your voiceover career going? Is there anything we can help with? Do you have any questions? And for someone who has no idea, what direction they want to take, having other people help you sort through all that is a wonderful thing, because they're helping you out for free. It's not like you're paying for a coach or paying for consultation. And not to say that those are, you should substitute just peer evaluation with professional evaluation. But for someone who's just starting off, free advice is great. And it really can help you see more clearly what you want to do with your business and what you want to do in voiceover. And when you're ready to start looking for jobs, other voice actors can keep you in mind when they are coming across auditions and casting calls that could potentially fit your profile better than it fits theirs. For example, I've received opportunities which I've turned into jobs because someone was looking for an Asian American voice actor, or someone was looking for someone who could speak Japanese, and my peers were able to point them in my direction. And finally, I think one of the coolest parts about these meetup groups is being able to see who these voiceover artists are as people and making these personal connections. So you get to know them a little bit more than the about page on their website. And I think that is what you remember more, and what sticks out to you more when you're passing contact information along, because, not only are they a great voiceover artist, they're just a great person in general. And these are the types of networks that really thrive, I think, and are the ones that really benefit everybody involved.
Having a group of like-minded folks who understand your business and what you're trying to accomplish while simultaneously keeping you accountable to your goals and actually building your business, that right there is a solid investment. And thank you, David, for pointing it out. I know a lot of people will say, well, but Mark, there is no meetup in my community. Well, here's the thing. You're a part of the online community. And the good news is it knows no geography. It knows no borders. It knows no boundaries. All you need is Skype or FaceTime or Zoom. And before you know it, you are participating in a VO meetup. You can connect with folks all around the world and have your own meetup group. One of the things that I really appreciated that David said, by the way, was don't substitute professional evaluation with peer evaluation. So what David was saying was there's still a time and place for coaching. That is something that never ends. Even for me, I do coaching consistently because I'm constantly learning, constantly growing, trying to stay on top of the trends in the industry and all that sort of stuff. But for people who can't afford to spend on coaching all of the time, or who are still working their way towards their next investment in coaching, there's still value to be found amongst your peers. It is a different kind of support structure. Now, there is one warning that I want to attach to this, and it is a warning that I have given in other podcast episodes as well. Free advice can be great, but you have to be selective. Just because somebody has a platform doesn't mean that that is someone that you should trust and listen. Anybody can throw up a couple of videos on YouTube these days and call themselves a voiceover coach, and maybe not have ever worked in the industry. But as long as they've got a few videos on their YouTube channel, we assume that they have credibility, and so then we start listening to them to take voiceover advice. You've got to be very selective about the people that you allow to speak into your life and into your business. You got to be very selective about the people that you are letting to coach you in your reads and in your performance. So make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who are going to make you better. Ideally, you want to surround yourself with people who are a level or two above you, because that's really where you're going to start to learn and grow. One of the most common statements that I hear from entrepreneurship books, podcasts, mentors, etc., if you are the smartest person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. And basically what they're saying is that if you're the smartest person, then you're limiting your capacity to grow. So surround yourself with talent who are a level or two above you, and that is going to help you to level up. So thank you, David, for that great tip. And it is so easy to get involved in meetups now. And by the way, if you are running a meetup and you would like to have me as a guest speaker at your meetup, I'm happy to do it. That is something that I do all the time. And you can just send a message to mark@markscottvoiceover.com and we can talk about whether or not that is a possibility. Next up, we're going to Kara Scott. And Kara's suggestion is one that I've actually heard from quite a few people in the past, and I've never actually got around to making this investment. But after listening to Kara's story, I'm thinking now's the time for me to do it. Listen to what Kara thinks is one of the best investments that she has ever made for her voiceover business.
My first voiceover job was a 15-minute narration for a high school testing company. And 15 minutes, that doesn't sound like a big deal for experienced voice actors, but I was a beginner. It was my first job, and I'm on the clicky side. And I found myself painting out individual mouth clicks with the auto heal paintbrush in Adobe Audition, and it was taking hours. I was just in tears. I didn't feel efficient. I was worried about turning my work in on time for my client, and I just didn't feel like a professional. So I actually reached out to Danny States, who did a really inspiring blog post on mouth noise and how it's not the end of the world. And she made me feel better. And she also suggested the Izotope RX audio repair suite. So there's a function in the RX suite called Mouth Declick, and it just blew me away. I think this function alone is worth the price of the whole thing. So you get your settings dialed in. I had Uncle Roy help me with that based on the frequency of my voice and the frequency of my mouth clicks. And you run the function, and it declicks your whole file in a fraction of the time that you would have spent painting out individual clicks. And it doesn't affect the sound of your voice or the quality of your audio or anything, which is great. Izotope RX will give you back hours just in the first few months of using it. It's really an incredible suite. There are lots more things that it does. It does breath control, it does denoising, dehums, deplosives. But the mouth declick function and the DS function, those are the ones that I use the most often, and I can use them right in Adobe Audition as plugins, so I don't even have to open up the software itself, which saves a lot of time too. There's a really great Facebook group too that's a resource specifically for Izotope RX, and it's called Audio Rescue RX, Voiceover Enhanced, Repaired, Saved, Recovered. And it's run by Don Barnes, and he's a veritable encyclopedia for what RX can do. So if you need help with it, there's a community of people that are ready to help you too. I've barely scratched the surface of what this software can do, but I know that if I run into problems, Izotope probably has a solution. Happy ending too. A year later, when I got the update gig for that high school testing company, it was so much easier. It took me an hour instead of 4. I'm feeling much more efficient, I'm feeling much more confident, and I'm feeling like a professional.
Time is money. You've probably heard that statement before, but when you become a business owner, you learn to appreciate that quote in an entirely new way. My wife and I love each other very much, but the one thing that we sometimes disagree on and have arguments about is time, because I view it very differently than she does. I know the value of my time. And so when I'm trying to outsource things or, trying to have somebody else come in and do work for me, and she's always looking at the expense of it, but I'm always looking at, but if I can pay person X, well, I can go out and earn Y, then it's better for me to pay person X to do the job. Time is money. Anything that you can do to save time is money well spent. I know that Izotope comes on sale a few times a year. Sometimes you can get the entire suite for like a couple $100. It can actually be pretty cheap. What you need to take into consideration is that you're not looking at the figure, whatever it is, $100, $200, $300. You're looking at if it can save you X number of hours in editing, and that allows you to deliver voiceovers faster, That means that you can do more voiceovers in a shorter amount of time, and that sounds like a really smart investment to me. That is an investment that is going to pay for itself many times over. And what are we selling? I talk about this all the time. We're selling our sound. Your sound needs to be on point. And if you do have a problem with clicks and different noises and all of that sort of stuff, then something like Izotope might be a really solid investment for you. One of the things that I really respected that Kara said, feeling more confident and feeling like a professional. Knowing that her audio was good makes her feel more confident. It makes her feel more professional. And those are really important statements because when you feel that way, your sound is going to be better as a whole because you're going to audition better. It's going to make you better. So that sounds like a really smart investment that you can make for your business, getting your sound in check. The next story is one that I talk about a lot in one of the courses that I do. I talk about it in Booking in Your Backyard, and I also talk about it in the Voiceover Marketing Playbook, and it's an investment that I've actually made myself in my business this year, although I haven't had a chance to use it to the full extent that Tim Johnson has. Listen to what he's made an investment in that has been paying great returns for his business.
So we all love to see and receive ROIs, right, for our business, return on investment. For me personally, investing in annual memberships with my local Chamber of Commerce was a no-brainer, to be honest with you. I've met some wonderful people, learned who and yes, who not to do business with. And a key opportunity I've found to exist in this environment is the need to educate people on voiceover. Educating folks on how to utilize voiceover for the business has helped me define my craft and demonstrate to them what VO is as a whole. Same thing goes for the Rotary Club. I'm sure some of you or your listeners know of Rotary International, and I've also found it to be invaluable for my growth as a business-to-business entrepreneur or VOpreneur. I met the now current president of my local chapter that I joined. I was actually hired for a DJ gig for Easter, and we hit it off at the event. Great guy, and his name is Gene. And come to find out, he's an executive for a local affiliate of NBC. So, in addition, many of the members of our chapter are also business owners, past and present. So the connections in that regard, again, are invaluable. So I'll leave you with this, folks. Invest. Invest in your craft, invest in your equipment, invest in your marketing, but never leave out the opportunity to speak with business owners face to face. The return on that investment alone, short and long term, will set you up for success if you take advantage of it.
The Chamber of Commerce and the Rotary Club, it really is a great way to network with people who are in your community and with people who are potential clients. Not to mention the fact that as you grow your network, you never know who is in their network that they can refer you to. So maybe you connect with 10 different people at the Chamber, and none of those people at the Chamber are actually the people that are going to hire you for voiceover. But what if every one of those people knew a couple of people who might be able to benefit from your voiceover services? As Tim says, never leave out the opportunity to speak with business owners face to face. And I think this is a really important thing. If you want to learn how to market successfully on a local level, and if you want to have successful business owners speaking into your business and acting as mentors for you, something like the Chamber and or the Rotary Club could come with a lot of benefit, particularly if you're not confident in the entrepreneurial side of things. So the value that you pick up from this may not exclusively have to do with voiceover, but it might come in the mentorship and the advice that you get in helping you to become better at the business side of voiceover, which can only reap great rewards for your voiceover business down the road. So thank you, Tim, for that suggestion. And I'm so glad to hear that that is something that is working out really well for you. In this episode, we're talking a lot about investments that you can make in your voiceover business, investments that are designed to create a return for you, where you can take $1 and turn it into 10 or turn it into 100, where you can scale your time so that you can do more in less time. There's a lot of really great investments that you can make in your business, and one of the investments that I want you to consider is the Voiceover Marketing Playbook. If you struggle with marketing, if it is something that doesn't come easily or naturally to you, if it's something that you're frustrated by, that you're overwhelmed by, if you find yourself in a position where you've kind of failed to launch, I just don't know what to do, and so I'm not doing anything, the Voiceover Marketing Playbook can make a big difference for you. If you have got your professional training, demos in a home studio, but you're still not booking, it's probably your marketing that is holding you back, and the good news is that's something that we can fix. The Voiceover Marketing Playbook is a step-by-step, easy-to-follow marketing course that will give you a clear plan for finding your own leads, building your own client base, and becoming the consistently working voice actor that you want to be. The Playbook is a video course. When you sign up for it, you'll gain instant access to all of the videos, which you can watch at your leisure, and you can learn how to become a confident marketer. Not only that, but I'm going to be there with you along the way. I'm going to be checking in through a private Facebook group. I'm going to be checking in through email accountability checkups, and I'm going to be there through coaching and through Q&A sessions to help answer all of your questions, help you come up with customized plans, and make sure that you are taking your investment in the playbook and turning it into something that is going to provide huge return. This is the last time the Playbook will be available in 2019, so don't miss out on this opportunity. Registration is between September 10th and the 19th. After that, you will not be able to get access again. If you want more details, please check out voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, or don't hesitate to reach out to me directly at mark@markscottvoiceover.com. Again, Playbook is available September 10th to the 19th, and it is the last time that it will be available this year. All the details at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com.
Now, back to our show.
Jody Krangle is all about getting connected with a really solid network that can speak into her business and make her better. But she's doing it from a slightly different perspective. And I love this one. And I want you guys to pay attention to this story, because this, honestly, is one of the best investments that you could ever make in your voiceover business. Listen to what Jody has to say.
I truly believe that hearing from people outside our industry is an important way to grow. Being in a mastermind with growth-oriented entrepreneurs in all sorts of different industries is a great way to do that. So that you know, a lot of these particular mastermind groups are run by coaches, and they cost money, usually on a monthly basis. But you get a lot for that investment. And having someone moderating it all and asking the questions that need asking, plus taking you to task when you don't deliver on what you promise, is what you need in that kind of an environment. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that masterminds with fellow voice actors aren't also helpful. I participate in one of those, and I get a lot of value from that too. We encourage each other, we understand each other's struggles, we can share the tools that we use in our businesses to improve. But sometimes it can feel like we're speaking in an echo chamber. I love these folks, but our perspectives are sometimes too close to be as useful as they could be. I think we all need outside perspective. Get into a mastermind with a group of people who could actually hire you. Not that they will, that's not why you join one of these, though it could be a nice byproduct. But they'll be able to see the perspective of your client. As much as I value the opinions of my fellow voice actors, I'm just going to be honest here, I value the opinions of my clients, the people that can hire me and make sure I have a roof over my head, just as much, if not a little more. We shouldn't focus too much on one perspective at the cost of the other. Just my 2 cents.
Making an investment to interact and mastermind with entrepreneurs outside of voiceover. Hearing outside perspectives and having an opportunity to get new insights into the business side of things. On account of many voice actors see themselves as performers and not business owners, so sometimes we really do need that perspective. But one of the most important things that Jody talks about, and part of the great value that comes from this particular mastermind group, you're basically getting to hear clients' perspectives on your business. You know, when we network exclusively with other voice actors, we're not getting those fresh outside perspectives. One of the best things that I ever did was attend a marketing conference in Nashville, and having the opportunity to sit down at a table with all kinds of different people from all kinds of different businesses and learning about how they're attracting in their buyers and how they're connecting and building those relationships. But one of the guys that I was sitting with actually ran a production company. And I got to listen to him talk from his perspective, what it was like to be marketed to by voice actors. And it was a reminder of how awful some voice actors are at marketing. But then being able to take that information and apply it not only to my own business, but to help other voice actors as well, teaching some of these techniques in courses like the Voiceover Marketing Playbook so that we can be better at reaching out to our buyers because we're actually hearing what our buyers have to say. The other thing that Jody points out, these mastermind groups are not free. But when you make an investment, you're going to take it more seriously. You are going to be more committed. One of the things that I have consistently proven over and over and over again, I do a lot of contests, a lot of draws, a lot of giveaways, and giving people access to different courses and some of my different resources and stuff. The completion rate of the people who I give stuff away to for free is less than half of the completion rate of people who actually pay for the resources. When you make that investment in a mastermind group, you are going to be more committed to it. I actually run a mastermind group. It's the first time that I did it. 2019 was the first time that I ran a mastermind group, and it is a paid mastermind group, and it is with other voice actors. We meet every month as a group, and I meet with each individual member of the mastermind group once a month as well. And it's an opportunity for us to learn from the collective. Because every single one of these voice actors that is in this group that I hand selected, they have different experiences, different backgrounds, different expertise, different perspectives. And so we all get a chance to speak into each other's businesses while simultaneously holding each other accountable to all of the goals that we are trying to accomplish. And there is massive value in that. So I really want to thank Jody for talking about the mastermind group and for putting that idea in your head, because you know what? I definitely think that it is something that everybody should be looking into. Get the perspective of your client. They are the one who really matters. As we continue to look at some of the different investments that voice actors have made that they consider to be some of the best investments that they've made for their business, you're going to start to notice a little bit of a theme here. And I'm going to point that theme out after we hear J. Rodney Turner's story.
The reason APAC was so instrumental in my ultimate success, or at least the success I'm currently enjoying, is kind of a long story. Back in 2015, I had about 25 books under my belt, roughly a year of work, and Andy Arndt came to town. Most of your listeners who do audiobook work will recognize Andy's name. She is, I believe, one of the first females inducted into the Audiobook Narrators Hall of Fame. She is an Audie winner, a great person, a great coach, and a prolific narrator. And she came to Nashville. She was doing some other work in the Nashville area, I believe, and she took some time out to teach some narration. And I asked her, okay, so, I have some relative success with ACX. I can pretty much, go in there and audition for 10 or 15 books and probably get 6 or 7 of those, just because I know my genre and I know what I stick with and I know what I'm good at. How do I go beyond that? How do I move forward and get with the publishers? What's the process? And she just looked at everybody and said, quite frankly, you need to be a member of the APA and you need to come to APAC and you need to build relationships with them, because that's what it's all about with audiobook narrators and their publishers. So that's what I did. I went to APAC the first time in Chicago. It was in Chicago in 2016. It's been in New York every year since that time. They follow around, I believe, the Book Expo America. So wherever Book Expo America is, that's generally where the APA holds their APAC event. And it is very enlightening. There's a lot of workshops. You can go on what's called, I guess, the narrator track and the publisher track, or a casting director track or a narrator track. I'm not sure. APAC The APA sets it up kind of differently every year. And to my benefit, I'm actually on one of the production committees this year for early and experienced narrators. So I'm hoping to get on the early half of that subcommittee. But APAC, I think, is it's paramount, I think, to a narrator's success nowadays, because you get a chance to network with other narrators. You get a chance to meet face-to-face with publishers and see who they are and what they are. And guess what? They're people like us. It's not a place that you go and thrust out business cards and sell your wares. You just make friends.
You need to build relationships because that's what it's all about. Does that sound familiar? For anybody who's ever taken any marketing coaching or courses with me, you've heard me say, marketing is all about building relationships, and building relationships takes time. What did they say was the purpose of APAC and trying to get connected to all of these different publishers? You need to build relationships because that's what it's all about. One of the other things that I think you can take away from that is this whole idea of going where your buyers are. There's nothing wrong with going to voiceover conferences. I can't wait to go to VO Atlanta. I'm very excited about MAVO. In a few weeks here, I'm going to be heading off to WOVO in Las Vegas. I love going to those voiceover conferences and interacting with those voice actors, but there's something to be said about going to where your buyers are. If you want to hear more on that, actually, I encourage you to listen to episode 15 of the Everyday VOpreneur podcast. That one was called Attending Non-Voiceover Conferences. Now, we've heard a number of stories now from everyday VOpreneurs just like you, who have talked about the best investments that they have made in their voiceover businesses outside of the big three. And apart from one, which was Kara's, which was an equipment investment, which, by the way, I'm probably going to be looking at after I finish recording this episode, there was a theme among some of the other ones. And I didn't even really realize it at first. I didn't intentionally set out to create a theme in this episode, but as I started collecting the stories, I started realizing that there was a theme there. David Kwikwi talked about attending voiceover meetup groups as being one of the best investments that he's ever made in his business. Tim Johnson said that one of his best investments was investing in the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary Club memberships. Jody Krangle gives a lot of credit to her Mastermind group. And I personally have enjoyed watching how Jody has grown in her business. She's always been brilliant at voiceover, but watching the way that she's growing in the business side of her voiceover, it's been fun to watch. And I know that that is a result of this mastermind group that she is a part of. And then for J. Rodney Turner, he said that one of the best investments that he've ever made in his business was APAC and APA social networking events. What is the theme there? Networking. In 4 out of these 5 stories, there's been a theme of networking. Networking with like-minded individuals through voiceover meetups. Networking with business owners who can potentially bring you business through the Chamber of Commerce and the Rotary Club. Networking with other entrepreneurs and professionals who can give you an outside perspective and help you see your business in a way that maybe you haven't seen before. And attending networking events where your buyers are directly in your field. All of these folks were talking about networking and the power of getting yourself in a room with the right people. Whether those people are going to help you work on your reads, whether they're going to hold you accountable, whether they're going to help you with business, whether they're going to coach you through the voiceover side of things, whether they are going to present leads and opportunities for new clients and work, whether they are going to help you to grow as an entrepreneur or as a VOpreneur. A big part of investing wisely in your business is surrounding yourself with the right people who can speak into that business and help you make it grow. And I hope that you take that away from this episode. I want to say thank you to David Kwikwi, to Kara Scott, to Tim Johnson, to Jody Krangle, and to J. Rodney Turner for taking the time to share their stories, for taking the time to help us understand how investments that they're making are providing returns for them in their business. You are the CEO of your company. Part of your responsibility as the CEO is taking the money that you earn and investing it in a way that will help you to experience growth. One of the smartest ways that you can do that is in the network that you build for yourself. As always, thanks so much for checking out this episode. Please make sure to share it with your friends through social media. Help to spread the word. And of course, make sure that you subscribe so you never miss another episode. You can subscribe and leave reviews wherever fine podcasts are given away for free, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and Podbean. And remember, you can listen anytime at VOpreneur.com. Thanks so much for listening. I'll catch you on the next one.
The Everyday VOpreneur podcast. Available everywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Mostly, we think.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceOver player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicesam and receive 3 months of VoiceSam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicesam.
And scene.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for hanging out. Want more VOpreneur goodness? Jump online at VOpreneur.com.